Cast of the Seven Godsends is a modern throwback to the era of Ghosts and Goblins. It's a straight up running gun retro style game with only 2 buttons dedicated to running and jumping, aside from the D-pad. Dive into this new take on the genre and see how well it's aged. Cast of the Seven Godsends has you play as King Kandar, who gets his son kidnapped by the evil Emperor Zaraima. Now King Kandar needs the help of the 7 gods of Dereka as he travels through the 6 sections of his kingdoms, each more dangerous than the last. Every section of the kingdom is guarded by bosses sworn to stop the king at all costs. Journey through the many sections of the kingdom, gaining new powers and skills along the way as you go after the Emperor to save your son. The story is told in minor text conversations between the king and NPC characters, usually a boss or one of the 7 gods. It also has multiple endings, an interesting throwback for those of you that know the multiple endings in Ghosts and Goblins and the huge pain in the butt it was to get it. The problem with the story though is the pacing of it. It's told in these text dialogue pop-ups, but the text comes up so slow that pressing any button on the controller fast forwards it rather than just finishing the dialogue. More often than not, I wanted to just have the text load up faster, but it ended up skipping up a whole prompt, and I had to go back and rewatch my gameplay I captured to read up on the story. The gameplay of this game feels a lot like Ghosts and Goblins with a Megaman power-up structure stacked on top of it. You start off with your basic projectile attack and the ability to run and jump, and that's pretty much it. It's a simple setup that's supposed to mimic the feeling of classic arcade platformers from the 80s. As you navigate the level from left to right, sometimes from down to up, you come across multiple types of enemies and power-ups to aid you in your battle. Enemies come in different shapes and sizes, some can fly, others will run towards you. You have to be quick on your feet because your walking paths can be a bit unpredictable or rather not straightforward. The weapons vary in use. You won't know their effect or how different they are from your current weapon unless you pick it up and learn, so the game does actively welcome you to experiment with your arsenal. The armor you pick up gives you some extra chances to get hit without completely dying. In general, this game is a bit more forgiving with lives and chances than the classic games the game is based on. On top of your basic arsenal of power-ups, you can also get boosted armor when you pick up another armor set while already wearing one. Additionally, that armor has a special attack that you can unleash by holding down the attack button. It's a good Hail Mary for dire situations. What's supposed to be the big action set pieces though are the mid-level and end-level bosses that vastly vary in quality. While some bosses are tough and challenging, others can have such a simple pattern that they're quite literally just a bullet sponge shooting a blast out every 5 seconds. Sometimes the platforming journey to these fights were more challenging than the fights themselves, thanks to some annoyingly well-placed obstacles that kill you in 2 hits if you're not careful. Since all you can really do is run, jump, and shoot, the platforming was pretty straightforward and mostly relied on waiting for moving obstacles to get out of the way. Ultimately, the game is challenging, though it's very forgiving in its lives and chances. Its gameplay can certainly use a bit of work in terms of design, especially with the bosses, but the overall nature of the game offers a mildly fun pick up and play game. Much how it's rooted in classic gameplay, the visuals for this game are drawn in a 16-bit art style to match up the retro theme it's based on. While it totally nails the whole 16-bit aesthetic, I'm personally not a big fan of this art style in particular. The visuals on display look like a bad put together arcade game that grabs some open source sprites online. Despite the games this game is based on being in the 8-bit era, I actually think the solid bright colors end up looking worse than just the plain dark background colors in Ghosts and Goblins. The upgraded graphics make me wish there was a bit more animation in the background, something to not make it look like someone just designed this in MS Paint. It may just be the retro aesthetic that the developers were going for, and while I've liked it in other games like Shovel Knight and Freedom Planet, I'm not a real big fan of how this game executed it. Additionally, there was a mixed bag of quality in terms of the game's assets. I noticed a few compression artifacts on the corner of text in the main menu and a weird opacity square image in the second level. The same pros and cons translate over to the Switch's smaller display where things look just as sharp but also just as compressed. The music in this game was pretty fast beat and rhythm. It made every single stage feel like a speedrun, but then again with the amount of times I was trying to avoid being attacked, you do sort of tackle this game in a speedrun fashion, so I guess it's fitting. I personally didn't have any standout moments with the music, but I didn't think it was bad either. With the exception of the end credits song, every other song was upbeat and had you quickly running past any obstacle that stood in your way. The sound effects on the other hand varied in quality. Much how I thought that some of the visuals looked like they'd come from an open source project, some of the sound effects feel the same. The jump effect, for example, sounds like the dev swung a stick really hard outside, recorded it, and thought, yeah, that's good enough, let's just leave it in the game. Cast of the Seven Godsends feels like a retro throwback that combines the difficulty of Ghosts and Goblins with the power-up structure of a Megaman game. It's an interesting collaboration that's fun but sure as hell difficult too. I'm not a fan of the game's presentation as a whole. Some of the music tracks and graphics are nice, but the majority of the visuals and audio design feel rushed and very last minute. If they did this on purpose to make the game feel more retro, then they certainly overdid it. Currently the game goes for $10 on PC, $7 on PS4 and Xbox One, and $13 on Nintendo Switch. It really is a bizarre pricing structure. I'd say if you're a fan of classic hard platformer games, then consider cautiously dipping your toes into this game if you can get it at that $7 PS4 or Xbox One price tag or lower. Anything else, I'd say hold off for a sale on other platforms. That does it for my review of Cast of the Seven Godsends for the Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, PS4, and PC. If you have any questions about the game or games you'd like me to review that are coming out soon, let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, drop it a like, consider sharing it with your friends on social media, and subscribe for more videos just like this. Thank you all very much for watching, hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next one.